What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we have WWE top 10 planned matches that never happened. Yes, guys, in the WWE things happen, injuries happen, whatever the case is, and sometimes the plans need to be changed. But here are the original plans that we never saw. Number 10, Mick Foley versus Dean Ambrose. Before Dean Ambrose made his main roster debut with his former faction, The Shield, he had a little different route. First of all, it was supposed to be him making his debut by himself, not with Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns. Then, his opponent was supposed to be Mick Foley for his first ever feud. On Jericho's podcast, Ambrose stated that he was going to stalk and confront Foley at meet and greets and/or autograph signings to start off the feud. While creative thought it was a great idea and it would have been a great feud, they had second thoughts about Foley competing in another match. Therefore, the whole thing was scratched off, and Ambrose made his debut later on with The Shield. Number 9, Eddie Guerrero versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. The year 2002 was a very weird year for both Hall of Famers Stone Cold and Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero was coming off of a drug addiction and he was fired by the WWE, while Stone Cold was terribly booked and his credibility really dropped. Stone Cold felt that if he was involved in a feud with Eddie, he would regain his love for the business because obviously Eddie Guerrero has great promos and matches. The match was close to happening at King of the Ring in 2002, but Stone Cold walked out of the company and the match would never happen. Number 8, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock versus Triple H. During the Attitude Era, there were no names bigger than these three wrestlers. Survivor Series in 1999, they booked one of the most anticipated triple threat matches ever. For the WWE Championship, it was going to be these guys facing off against each other. Unfortunately, Stone Cold's neck caught up to him, and he was forced to undergo surgery. WWE had known this, but continued to book this match because they knew people would buy the pay-per-view for it. Once the pay-per-view came, Stone Cold was ran over by a car kayfabe, and Big Show took his spot. The worst part about all this is, we never had the chance to see them in a triple threat later on in their careers. Number 7, Sting versus Kurt Angle. In 2002, Kurt Angle was obviously the best wrestler on the roster. So why was he in a forgettable feud with Kane at WrestleMania 18? Well, it turns out that was never the original plan for Kurt Angle at that WrestleMania. It was supposed to be Kurt Angle versus Sting. It sounds like an amazing match at the time, but whatever happened? Well, Sting never made his way into the WWE because Vince McMahon was burying everyone that came from WCW. He literally bought WCW and took all the wrestlers just to bury them because they tried taking his company down. Although we did see the two face off years later in TNA, it just was not the same, especially with their age. Number 6, Chris Benoit versus CM Punk. WWE's version of ECW wasn't that great compared to the normal original Paul Heyman ECW, but at Vengeance, we were about to see one of the greatest matches in WWE history. The ECW Vegan title match was set for CM Punk versus Chris Benoit. It was supposed to be a classic we would never forget. Unfortunately, the events that happened with Chris Benoit and his family took place right before this pay-per-view. WWE was forced to change the match to CM Punk versus John Morrison. That match was lackluster, and we will live the rest of our lives wondering how good CM Punk versus Chris Benoit would have been. Number 5, Shawn Michaels versus The Rock. The Rock versus Shawn Michaels is a dream match of many WWE fans that would do anything to get these two to square off in a ring. But what most people don't know is that these two were actually planned to have a match to fight. The reason to why this match never happened is because The Rock hated Shawn Michaels. HBK used to work for The Rock's grandmother, and it was said that Shawn Michaels would bully her. Another thing is that when The Rock won the IC title in 1997, Shawn Michaels would tell Vince McMahon that he didn't deserve to win it. While Michaels matured when he returned in 2002, The Rock made it clear he would never fight HBK. Number 4, Undertaker versus Kurt Angle. We all know that Brock Lesnar ended the streak, but did you know before Lesnar did it, Kurt Angle was supposed to be the one who ended it at WrestleMania 22? Angle said in an interview that because Taker never had a 5-star WrestleMania match, Taker wanted to face Angle. He knew him fighting Angle would most definitely get that 5-star match he was looking for. The idea was for the two to face off at WrestleMania 22 for the title and the streak on the line. McMahon had told Taker he wanted Angle to retain his title, and Undertaker even went as far as agreeing to it and letting Kurt Angle go over in the match. Vince didn't want that to happen, and we saw Mark Henry take his place. I'm sure Taker wasn't happy with the amount of stars that match got. Number 3, Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan. From the 1980s to the early 1990s, Hulk Hogan was the top star of the WWE. While he was the top star of the WWE, Ric Flair was the top star of WCW. Once Ric Flair made his way to the WWE, there was lots of talk of WrestleMania 8 main eventing these two guys in a match. It was eventually scrapped because of many reasons. Some say it was scrapped because they fought at house shows and the match or box office wasn't that great, while other rumors say it was because they could not decide on a winner. Ultimately, they missed the opportunity to have one of the biggest matches with the biggest stars at the time, to main event WrestleMania 8. It did happen later in WCW, but it wasn't the same as these two fighting at the WrestleMania main event. Number 2, Shawn Michaels vs. Bret Hart 2. After Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart had their awesome Iron Man 1-hour match at WrestleMania 12, they were set to have a rematch at WrestleMania 13. The one problem was that Shawn Michaels didn't want to put over Bret Hart, which is completely unfair because Bret did it at WrestleMania 12. Although the rematch would have been a guaranteed 5-star match, fans would not regret it because we would get Stone Cold to take his place, and that match would push Austin to superstardom, and we saw a double turn that was amazing and unforgettable. And number 1, Eddie Guerrero vs. Shawn Michaels. The Chicago crowd were set to have a dream match that would have tore the house down at WrestleMania 22. The creative team knew that Chicago was a very passionate crowd about wrestling, and Eddie Guerrero vs. Shawn Michaels was a perfect match for them. The storyline was going to be about how both of them were cocky young wrestlers in the 90s who overcame their drug issue. Basically, they were mirror images. Unfortunately, Eddie Guerrero passed away in November 2005, and we will never see how great of a match that would have been. As always, thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more. It really helps, guys. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WWE Plano. I post some good stuff there, express my opinions. And finally, check out my other channel, Official Life Facts. Take care and spike your hair.
I like the way you work it. No diggity, darling. I'm not the bad. 1738. No diggity, darling. I like the way you work it. I'm about to bag it up. No diggity, darling. I'm about to bag it up.